When do we do all these things in our day-to-day life? Generally, we use all these things in a particular situation, particular mode. When do we do all these things? Like greetings, inquiries, tell our name, ask their name, our reason for meeting, everything we will do in a particular concept, in a particular context. What would be the context? For example, telling our name to someone else who doesn't know our name in the beginning as part of our meeting. So what do we call that phrase?
To communicate.
Yeah, before communication, we are giving our name to him. We are telling our name to him. And we are teaching him his name.
To create formal.
Exactly.
Introduction.
Exactly. Introduction. Right? Or simply we can say introducing oneself. Okay, so today we are talking about introducing oneself. So generally, what are the situations we are going to introduce ourselves? So what are the situations in our day-to-day life we introduce ourselves? Can you name any one or two?
In meeting.
Very good.
In our intro talk. In our intro talk.
Intro talking.
In our happiness program.
Okay. Happiness program. Great. Next. Any other situations? In meetings, intro talk, and happiness program.
When we go in any office for any work.
Very good. When we go for office. Offices. Any other?
When we deliver lecture.
Giving lectures. Lectures or presentations. Great presentations. Any other concepts, any other situations we use this program? I mean introduction, self-introduction. In meetings, inter talks, happiness program, office, lectures or presentations, only these. Anything else? So you're all doing your jobs, right?
Many times, sir.
Yes, many times. Right? You're all doing your job, right?
Yes.
So to get your job, what do you need? You need the qualification.
Qualification.
Yes.
Right. Once you go, you have the qualification. Then after you'll apply for the you'll send your resume, and then they'll call for interview.
Yes.
Right.
Total biodata.
Yes.
In the interview, what is the first step?
We will take the permission.
Yeah, in the interviews, mostly the first step is, so once you enter the interview chamber, then we are going to introduce ourselves, right? So that is what the first step, right? So there are a lot of other situations also for introducing oneself, but we are talking introducing oneself for various situations. So how we are going to introduce ourselves for various situations? That is what we are going to practice today. Right. So in the introduction first, what is the first step in the introduction, self-introduction?
Name.
Exactly. First step is nothing but greeting. Greeting. What would be the next step? So any one of you please introduce yourself. We just assume that we met for the first time and just give me your self-introduction.
May I?
Yes, ma'am, please.
If you are in a cabin, I will ask first permission. May I come in?
Okay.
And then when you tell me to sit down, then only I will sit.
Hmm.
And I will tell my name. I am Vasudha Dhakate.
Okay.
And if I go for interview, then the in front of me who is seated, he will ask me some question. But if I go for my work, then I will introduce myself.
Right.
I will tell my name. I am Vasudha Dhakate, and I came to you for introducing my organization, Art of Living, and I want to tell about Art of Living. I will tell such type of introduction to them.
Good. Any other option? Any other answers? Do you have, Kavita ma'am?
Sir.
Kavita ma'am, do you have any other answer?
No, sir.
Right.
Self-introduction.
Right. So first thing is greeting. Second thing is self-identity. And then third thing is
The reason.
reason. And then
Conclusion.
conclusion. So these are the general steps can be mentioned in any introduction. Right. So if it is job interview, there will be a little bit difference. If these are all steps generally for general meetings, general introductions, general self-introductions. So for example, greeting. So what kind of words, what kind of phrases do we need to use for introduction or for greeting? So what kind of phrases do we need to use?
Sir, good morning.
Very good, ma'am. Good morning
Good
or
afternoon.
afternoon, yes, afternoon or evening,
Good evening.
right?
Yes.
Any other words?
Yes.
Hello.
Hello, G.
Hello.
Hello. Hello. Hi.
Hi.
Hello.
All right. So, good morning, afternoon, good evening, or hi, hello. These are the general phrases or general words. Simply, we can say greetings to be used for various situations. Like, for example, if it is professional life, then in that case, we should prefer formal language. So, the formal language in the sense, good morning, sir, or good morning, ma'am, or good morning, simply, good afternoon, or good evening. If there are more audience, in that case, simply we will say, good morning to all, or good morning one and all, or good afternoon to all, or good afternoon one and all, or good evening, like that. So as per the time, we are going to use the time frame. If it is semi-formal, so all the formal language should be used for our professional life. Professional life in the sense which is related to your career, job and your career, right? Semi-formal language you can use with your colleagues who are close to you, and you can use semi-formal language with your friends, and you can use this semi-formal language with people whom you don't know but they are equal in your age. For the elderly people or the people who are superior to you, with them we should not use semi-formal language or informal language, but we should use only formal language, right? So informal language can be used only with friends and family members. We can use we can use informal language with friends and family members, right? So here you should understand that informal language is not vulgar language, right? So we should use only informal language with our friends and family members. So that is about the greetings, right? So while you are greeting with the audience, so how you need to greet them? So for the every country they have their own style of greeting, right? So for Indians, namaste is the greeting. correct?
Yes.
So for Western people, shaking hands. For some countries, hugging. Some countries, kissing on the cheeks. So, excuse me. So for every country, they have their own style of introductions, greetings. Okay. But for our Indian country, or for our Indian people, we supposed to greet either this way, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, like that, or we can follow the traditional custom of saying simply namaste. Okay, so both are acceptable in Indian community. Okay, so after the greetings, the very next moment, what we can do is self-identity. So whenever we are meeting for the first time, whoever it might be, whether we are on the meeting, I mean, when we go for the meeting, someone or if someone come to you, no matter whatever is the situation, what we need to do is, if you start the conversation, then start, reveal your identity, self-identity, who you are and what you are. So here you need to answer two questions, who you are and what you are. So who you are first. Talk about your name, what you are, your designation.
Name.
Yes, designation. Designation are the role you are dealing with. For example, if you are from the other company, you are meeting a person who is not from your company, who is working for some other company. In that case, you need to talk about your designation, right? For example, if you're talking about, two employees are working for different companies. One person is introducing to the next person. In that case, what he has to do is, he can introduce his name first, and then he can talk about the company rather than the designation. Because it is two different companies. If within the company, same company, you both are working in same company. In that case, instead of talking about the company name, you can talk about your department, which department you belong to. Right? If it is the same department, so that is why I said introducing oneself to the different situations, different concepts, right? So first, two different companies. You're representative of one company and he is representative of another company. In that case, you can introduce yourself by name as well as you can talk about your company, which company you belong to. And then if needed, as the next step, we can talk about your designation, because sometimes your designation is also very important for certain meetings. For example, if you are meeting the CEO of some other company, in that case, you need to give your designation also, what you are. Okay. So they should know what you are. Like that, you can give your self-identity or revealing self-identity. If it is general meeting, in that case, we don't go for that, all these things. Simply we will, for example, if you met a person in the market, can we introduce all these things? So good morning,
No.
sir. I'm from so-and-so company. I'm doing so-and-so job, like that. Can we introduce all these things?
No.
If
No.
it's not like that, they will laugh at us. Right? Why I need all these things here? We are in the market. So a marketplace is nothing but it's a general place. It's a public place. So automatically there your language should be a little different. So it can start simply, you can greet the audience. I mean, audience in the sense the person whom you met. You just introduce yourself. I mean, first greeting. Then you can give your name. Everywhere you should give your name. That is your first identity. Correct? So first give your name. And then if it is in the market, if you met a person in the market, then you can talk about the place where you are living. Right? So the place which you belong to. So like that you can start. For example, if it is general conversation, then I can say, for example, my name is Pramod Kumar and I'm from Tirupati or I'm from Andhra Pradesh. Within the state, then you can talk about the district which you belong to. All right? So within the district, you can talk about the place. If it is the whole country, then you can talk about your state. If it is international level meeting, for example, if you met someone else from the outside India, for example, if you met someone in other country like America, Australia, or somewhere else in the world, in that case, you don't need to talk about, for example, my name is Pramod from Tirupati, because they don't know what is Tirupati. We should not say like that. And we should say to them that my name is Pramod, I'm from India.
India.
Yes. So whatever the level of meeting, either it is formal or semi-formal or informal, whatever the level of meeting, as for that situation, we should change the vocabulary. We should change the choice of words. Based on that only, we are going to improve our communication. We can extend our business, right? So for example, as Wasnamam said, if you meet someone else in the other office or your office, then we should give the reason why the meeting, why you both are met there. So what is the reason behind that meeting, right? You can give your reason for that meeting. Because of so and so reason, I came here to meet you, right? So once the meeting completed, your conversation completed. In that case, what you're supposed to do is, but you should remember that the meeting part is completely completed. You greeted the person, you introduced yourself, you have done your business. I mean, whatever the reason you met, that business has been completed. We should not leave. We should not go straight. The fourth step, conclusion, is also very important. The conclusion should be the complementary conclusion. So the complementary conclusion should be like the summary. So why you met, so the summary, and what are your expectations from the other person, and what kind of results you are expecting, or what kind of suggestions you want to give. So that should be at the end of the conclusion. And so the conclusion completed. Can we depart the meeting simply? So you have greeted the audience and you have given the self-introduction, I mean self-identity, and then reason, and then conclusion. Can we leave the person? Can we go directly?
No.
Then what can we do? What should we do then? We should vote thanks.
Thanks and
Yes.
good.
So we should vote thanks and say bye. Bye or goodbye, both are right. No problem.
Have a good day, sir.
Yeah, have a good day.
Sir's Wi-Fi is weak. Is it?
Yes, ma'am.
Or my?
Yeah, Vasudha ma'am, tell me. All right, right. So before you are going to depart from.
Are you here, Kavita?
Yes?
Can you hear me?
Yes, yes, yes. Yes,
I could
we
not
can
hear
hear
you,
you, Vasudha ma'am. Please.
So at the end, what we're supposed to do is we should owe the thanks. We should owe the thanks and then say bye-bye or goodbye or have a nice day, whatever the wish. Right? So this is the way how we should introduce. It is just only general introduction, which is not the introduction for interviews. Okay. So if you ask me the interview, I mean the introduction for interview, it will be little lengthy. There you need to talk about your educational qualifications. If you have the experience, then you, first of all, the similar way you should start first your greetings, then self-identity, then after, if you have some work experience, then you can talk about your work experience. Then if you are a fresher, then directly go for your educational qualifications. So whatever the educational qualifications are there, you can talk about that. But you should start with descending order, not ascending order. So I hope you all know what is meant by descending order, right? So top to bottom. So recent course to the least course, the highest degree to the least degree. Okay. So we should give our details, educational details. Even the, for example, if it is, if you are talking about your experience summary, even that case also you should talk about the recent company first, then one by one, step by step, you should go to the beginning of your career. For example, you started 10 years ago. You should not start with your first job. You have to start with the job recently you left or the job you are working now. Okay, first you should start with that, and then you have to continue step by step, step by step. Okay, this is the way how you should give your experience summary or educational qualifications. Once that completed, then after you can go for your hobbies. Then you can go for your hobbies, your goals, your area of interest, your skills, right? So step by step, one by one, you can. But you people are already in a job. That's why I'm not giving you complete, clear information about the interview, because it's not important for you. You need to learn this because already you are doing your jobs. So what we need to do is we need to understand how to introduce ourselves for various situations. So for example, if it is any presentation, yes, if it is any presentation, if it is any lectures, in that case, how you supposed to introduce? The similar way, first start with greetings, self-identity, then reason why you are there on the stage. Then after, you should give the introduction of your topic, because you are talking about a particular topic
Yes.
for presenting. So that's why you need to give the name of the topic. Once you have given the name of the topic, you should give the meaning of the topic. So first, name of the topic. Secondly, you need to give the meaning of the topic. And third, historical evidence. Historical evidence in the sense there should be some statistical data. For example, if you are talking about pollution, you need to talk about global warming or pollution. In that case, how you can talk? First of all, what is meant by pollution? First, you will give the topic name. Then after, you will give the meaning of the topic. And then thirdly, you have to give the statistical data, like, how much global warming every year has been happening in the world. So what are the reasons for that? So in which country, how much globalization, how much global warming has been occurring? So how many hotspots are there in different countries, right? So how much greenery has been reducing? So like that, you should give a little bit historical data, right? Then after, you're going to go with the actual content. You can give actual content. So once your presentation is completed, then you can go for the conclusion. This is the way how you should give your presentations with introduction. Okay, here again, I'm not giving you the complete process of giving the presentations. When we are going to talk about presentations, I'll give you that little later. Because today we are focusing only on introducing oneself for various situations. So in meetings, generally in meetings, in the sense, it's mostly we are going to meet with our department people, correct? So whenever we are going to meet in the meetings, we are going to meet our department people in the sense whomever working on the same department, right? So in that case, how you supposed to introduce yourself? Right, same way you can introduce yourself, right? So you can introduce same way, like greetings, then self-identity. Self-identity in the sense, so for example, you are working in the same company or you are working in the same department also. In that case, you should not give your designations and all. So the area which you are handling with, for example, electronics, okay, or computers, take computers, computer peripherals, okay. So whenever there is a meeting with the whole company, in that case, they'll call as per the departments. For example, if it is a laptop, in that case, laptop, so there will be different departments. Like for keyboard, there will be some team of people, they need to work on keyboards. For mouse, some people, right? So for the body, total body, some people, and then the motherboard and all, some people, like that. So for every different portions of that computer parts, so I mean computer peripherals, So there will be a different team. So if you are representing to a particular team, then you can give the team you belong to. Okay, for example, my name is Pramod Kumar. I'm from mouse manufacturing. My name is Pramod Kumar. I'm from keyboard manufacturing. Like that. Okay, so if it is any other meetings, then you can give your self-introduction. Even in happiness program, right? So in the happiness program also we will take, first we will give our introduction, then we will take others' introduction to make it familiar, correct? Even in our online training also, in the beginning, on the day one, I have given my introduction, then after I ask you all to give your self-introduction, correct? So this is the way how we should introduce oneself for various situations. Is it clear?
Yes, sir.
All right.